Hello to everybody. Nice to be here. Thank you to Fast Forward conference and Sandra Križić-Robert for inviting me. And I'm very happy that we actually now speaking about women photographers. And as my previous Katarina said, this will be the presentation of one photographer from the Serbia, Goranka Matić. Is also very different because we had the photo retrospective crowd experience, and it's interesting because she actually did in 80s filming or shooting the rock photography, and then in the 90s she was very well known during these political events in Serbia. So it's interesting actually how some woman photographer who is not scholared as a photographer actually deals from one, I may say, genre as photography which deals with how to say photojournalism and raw photography now access to the mostly political and engaging photography. So you will see here a bit of also rock photography, and it's interesting because actually when we speak about the political photography or this documentation that she involved in the 90s in the street of Belgrade actually, so you will see this side also. She was not war photography, I may say, when we speak about the former Yugoslavia war, the 90s, but you will see actually what was going on in this, I may say, call for democratic in the Serbia and Belgrade public streets. So when we speak, this is the crowd experience was exhibition that was held in the Museum of Contemporary Art Belgrade 2 years ago, and it was also very well I may say presented during the Regia. Also it was in Zagreb, it was in Podgorica, it was in Bosnia. So in a way it also says a lot of it was not only I may say monograph exhibition, it is much more about the 80s and the 90s in the Yugoslavia, Serbia and Belgrade. So it's also interesting how we look this kind of the artistic retrospective in the museum. As you see here, for example, this is one field that is represented the rock photography, but it is also very interesting that we also involve the different kind, not the genre, because we have this photojournalism, documentation photography, Polaroids, artistic photography that she deals on, but also how in a way you should or you could represent the photography in a different way. For example, if you represent the artistic photography as she has, it is in a much more how to say aesthetic or artistic way, like framed and etc. But when we present, for example, this was the one part of the actually this political events that it's Goranka Matić shoot in Belgrade, in Serbia. So it is partly or mostly the documentary photography through the media, through the different kind of journal media that she was actually a photographer in the Vreme, one democratic media during the Milošević time, and it was especially against the Milošević regime. And so we have also different kinds of the, so you say, let's say you see here the video also, that we established this kind of the video from the different kind of the methods of photography, that you have these influences of how to actually the static photography from the street can be presented is in much more dynamic and vivid way, and actually to put you in the side places that actually was going on. So Goranka Matić, and it's also very interesting, but because We previously heard the presentation of the Ukrainian artist and also the keynote speaker in Iranian artist, but this is also the artist that he actually is not was scholared as a photographer. Photography was much more, how to say, in the male case, and in the male was actually, how to say, focus in this photography school. So actually what was in this one of the key topic, or how to say, key notes from the one of the speakers previous, actually it was kind of her activism dealing and how to establish and going through to the photography. So, for example, this is one of the, maybe I can say, she here established this kind of the woman gaze in the kind of the male attitude. She dressed herself as a male and called herself Ira Fassbinder. So this is a much more like presentation of herself, but also dealing with the male, but also kind of the things of the photography can do. But this is only, I may say, now we can go to the first topic. So this is actually the intro of the 90s that she involved her, and this is interesting because when we deal and when we speak about Goranka's actually photograph, we speak about two main issues or two main focus. This is the street and this is the individual, the persona. So actually from her first photograph cyclus called Days of Pain and Pride. She established in the 1980s, and cyclus was taken early in the May. The few days the death of Yugoslav President Josip Broz Tito died, and this is interesting because she took the picture of the Tito in this kind of the different kind of the, how to say, windows in the Belgrade street. So this is not actually because lots of photographers there put the, how to say, the objective or the photographs dealing what was morning in the street, how to say, but actually she turns the head through the windows, and in a way you can see also, for example, this is interesting, you know, during the, so it all has some kind of the savage meaning through this meat grocery, how to say, but Tito was in this kind of different kind of the stories as some kind of the decorative, but also it says a lot about the 80s and how to say, when you see and look at this photography, you actually see different kind of the things at design of the stores, design of the actually what was going and how you the some stuff was putting on the fashion, and actually it was everything from the Belgrade. This one especially is only from Rijeka, and it is also interesting because some of you maybe know here on this poster near the Tito said "Čovjek nema rezervnih delova," which means man doesn't have reserve parts, spare parts. But some of you know that Tito was losing the leg before the death, so it is black humor in a way that she actually can how to say, it was coincidentally, but in a way she presented that way. So actually from this first of her photography, this is only a small cyclus that I represent here. This is cyclus that has about 30 photographs, and we have it in the Museum of Contemporary Art. You see the main focus of her actually photography practice, it is a street and it is a public person, actually. It is a celebrity in a way. And it will be holding on through the 80s and 90s in her practice. So it's interesting how actually she from 80s put herself later on in the early rock photography, which was also interesting to mention because there is no much woman in Serbian region, Croatian, dealing with rock photography. Mostly there is a male's part, also like musicians and musician critic, but it is also very interesting because she made it her how to say progress through this new wave rock photography. When we speak about the new wave, we also speak about kind of the avant-garde, which was actually also confront from the maybe some specific also socialist, socialism and communist party there. This is interesting photo. Goranka is here in the middle. And and maybe you will, some of you will notice Jadranka Winterhalter is here. So Goranka is here, and this is Marina Abramović. So this is a nice, actually, photo that actually says that Goranka is come from this part of the early artists, this new artistic practice in the Serbia. She was art historian, not photographer, as I said. And actually, this is very interesting. This is a SKC, Study Culture Center, as you know, in Ljubljana and Zagreb and in Belgrade. It was very famous, this part of the center, which was actually the avant-garde, the everything different alternative came. And so Goranka came from this artistic and art historian movement in the 70s. So because of that, we can actually meet and see her, this kind of acknowledgement of the visual practice, different kind of the visual documentation, different kind of actually activism. So through that, we can actually say about her activism. So it's not this standard topic of dealing with the photography like forma, style and everything, but actually she came from the artistic practice, different kind of involved, so actually it engaged her to see stuff and to manage him differently. So this is just some kind of the small notes of different things that happening in the Study and Culture Center. Goranka established this, was photography also, for example, this is performance of Klaus Rinken in SKC, so different kind of things that was holding on and happening there, like performance of artists. This is Carol Zeman and Bojana Pejić, Ilija Šoškić performance in installation. So it is kind of the documentarism that actually says what is going on the field of art, but society as well. This is Marina Abramović and Jasna Tijatović. So you can also see from this that the story that or her eye that actually want to catch this kind of the famous, well-known avant-garde people, but also the kind of the positive influence of the maybe some kind of the private spaces, kind of the artistic. This is a Tomislav Gotovac performance in SKC, Goranka Matić and some EKV, which is very famous rock group, new wave group from Belgrade. So I will just go through this a bit, but also there is a topic of the audience. So in a way, when we will speak about later about this 90s and see some kind of the protest that she actually filmed and shoot in the Belgrade streets in 90s, you can see this kind of the artistic approach to the actually scene that must be involved as, for example, when photography, her or she is dealing with a kind of different audience, and in the concert or in the street, she must be focused on the audience itself, in the persona itself, and all atmosphere. So it's also interesting maybe to catch up for the later. This is Goranka's photography of a Visi Doli, also a famous girl. One concert in Belgrade, group Haustor from Zagreb, also one concert in Belgrade. And this is maybe two of some, this is just a small presentation, but because Matić has a very enormous over of the 80s and the 90s, So this is also how actually she established to catch up with these portraits. So this is the field that I expressed: the streets, the audience, and the portraits, the individuals. This is one interesting thing because Matić actually, this is a hand-colored photography. It is interesting because she didn't have money for the color film, so she took the photography on the black paper, document paper, and by hand. She did it everything by hand with the crayons. So it's interesting to actually see this kind of the maybe style, but also the artistic approach that she also had. So this is actually the small presentation of the 80s. But when we speak about the 80s, it is now we come on something completely different. It is now the 10 years against political manifestation and social events from the 90s to the 2000s. And it's this soft documentary presentation that we have from the previous, and actually that we see the huge Yugoslav part of the maybe artistic and also music scene that was held in the Belgrade, Zagreb, Ljubljana, Sarajevo, Skopje, like these most main towns. Matić now in the 90s present her in a different way. She, for example, how this kind of the curtains, artistic curtains, put down. She actually dressed up in this kind of the political curtain. She was invited to put herself in the Vreme magazine as a official photographer, and Vreme was one of the opposite magazines in the Serbia, dealing against the Milošević regime. And it was actually, this is, for example, the first printing, the printing of the first magazine Vreme in one of the Borba, some different kind of the printing office, because they didn't have money for their own. So it is everything that actually was in a different kinds of field without money, more of enthusiastic in everything, but this kind of the democratic approach and actually the kind of her activism that say something and to be against something was actually involved his, and it was very, very important. For example, this is the 91, the waste of some history, all photos from the Museum of Revolution, Museum of Yugoslavia that we have in Belgrade. So you see the kind of the new and completely different approach, for example, because it was completely disaster in the whole former country. So actually the old photos, some history, the previous one, and all of this history that you see in the 80s, and all of this artistic and music scene actually was disappeared in a way. For example, this is a protest of the opposition against regime of the Milošević in March. This is a famous rally, I can say March 9, 91. You see this kind of the three hooligans putting this woman beside because she was approached something against the Milošević. And this is a different kind of the topic scenes that was happening in the center of the Belgrade. It is interesting that Goranka as woman actually was here, and maybe it is also interesting to say because as a woman she was not only one, but it was only few of the women actually who did it, but she had kind of the, as a woman, how to say, a bit of easy approach to the some maybe rallies and Protestants more than the other things, other parties. She was actually, this was from the balcony. This is a photograph from the balcony of the National Theatre. She was in front of the Vuk Drašković there. He was opposite there, and interesting that she actually, she in a way find a way to maybe to present this kind of the good view when you see the whole crowd and actually the whole catastrophic scene dealing with the Belgrade, with these allies, and of course the confrontiers of the ruling party in the streets of Belgrade. But also when we speak about this photography, we also speak, and it was interesting to also show what was actually we have in the Museum of Contemporary Art. Also, this exhibition was here last year in the Museum of Contemporary Art in Zagreb. And it was very important to us only not in the Belgrade and in Serbia ways, but also in the all of this region to represent the story about the 80s as some kind of the maybe good era, but also a bit of the problematic, but in a way vivid and very artistic era in the 80s and the 90s, which is completely see the desperation and the digression of all of this. And it's interesting because when we speak about this documentarism, we speak about these sites of the memories, of course, that actually involves this. Even if I speak about this, what we see in this photography that is documentation as itself, we also speak about how actually, what does the photography do to us. So this is the moment of the memory of all of us. So Goranka Matić is very well now we have also in all the archives of the, not only the representative of the TV station, but of the Yugoslav, Serbian and Belgrade archives, this her photo, because it's also has deal with this kind of the memory, not by herself only, like woman photography, but the collective actually memory of the whole things of the one social how to say social and city, I may say street practice. So this is also funny, Pierre Cardin and the protest by police dealing with this consumerism and this kind of return of the personnel from the Slovenia. So this is a different kind of also not only the things that is happening, army reserved on leave. So this is also what is interesting also that when we speak about this maybe protest of the peace or different kind of the things which happening as for example you see this kind of the army how it looks, but also it is some kind of the normality that she want to also put in this this whole process. For example, it was concerts of the peace, most of the in the Belgrade time. I didn't put this, but when we speak about this also political, her engagement, she also put lots of different kind of the private photographs. So when you speak about the this 90s, actually when you look the Matić photography, it is always with the documentation from the streets as kind of the rebellions and kind of the also the second one, documentation on the photography of her friends, her allies, and kind of the different kind of the normality artists that want to engage in these 90s. This is a proclamation of the new state, Yugoslav, in 92. So you see the one flag. The one flag is going down, the other is moving up. This is a Black 4 action. This is action of the woman in black also against the war in Yugoslavia. So this is a different kind of the action. I may say the artistic and social one that Goranka put it. Different kind of refugees also that now. And this is Milosevic rally, so this is a supporter, so she also took this kind of the opposite sides to. And this is the students again, Milosevic regime, and this is only for the end. It's interesting because she put it also the photographs or the different kind of for the journalists, for the Vreme magazine, different kind of the members of the presidency. This is a member of Croatian then presidency, Stipe Mesić, member of Slovenian presidency, Janez Drnušek. So you see also this kind of the image persona one-to-one that she also presented. Milo Đukanović, Montenegrin, and Zoran Đinđić, president of the Democratic Party in Serbia, later killed as a prime minister in Serbia. And one of maybe the closing topic is also this NATO bombing of Serbia. She also took 99, and kind of also different kind of the conflicts that still going on the dead days and these days today, unfortunately. So thank you. This is that.